Do you like classic firearms? The Range Ronin has one to show you.
Sometimes, just sometimes, a guy comes across a rare find in firearms. It's the Range Ronin once again. Come on in, and let me tell you all about this rare find. From 1908 until 1962, Sears, Roebuck & Company sold a wide variety of sporting goods and recreational equipment, including bicycles, golf clubs, rifles, shotguns, and revolvers, under the brand name J.C. Higgins. These products were well made and were popular with the company's historical core of rural and working-class consumers. Like many other Sears products, Sears firearms were originally made by major firearm manufacturers. Model 88, or M88 as it is more commonly known, was produced by High Standard Arms. From my research, this example may be part of the R-105 series. These guns were originally made for Sears, but were returned to High Standard when Sears dropped their handgun line in 1963, and were rebranded as High Standard guns, whereas barrels and grips were replaced. Retained in the design were the distinctive cylinder flutes, cylinder pin, trigger guard, and one-piece grip design of the J.C. Higgins guns. My research indicates that this M88 is one of the least common Sentinels. The J.C. Higgins brand for Sears sporting goods was replaced with the Ted Williams brand. Many of the more durable J.C. Higgins products are still available as second-hand items. As a side note, the brand name J.C. Higgins was based on a real person, John Higgins, who was a Sears employee. He worked with the company until his retirement as head bookkeeper in 1930. Higgins died in 1950, and his expertise in sporting goods or sports is unknown. This review is about a J.C. Higgins Model 88, provided to me by a friend of mine for review, and is a .22 long rifle 9-shot revolver, manufactured by High Standard Arms. I built a specifications list based on my own findings, as I have not been able to locate the actual specifications for the Model 88. Now I can move on to the many features of the J.C. Higgins Model 88 revolver. The J.C. Higgins might have been considered a lightweight revolver of its time due to the aluminum frame. After all, steel was not needed for a revolver of .22 caliber. It may also be considered, as we have come to know them, as a J-frame revolver, in Smith & Wesson speak. You will note that the 2.5-inch barrel is pinned into the aluminum frame. A pinned barrel was a feature common with these early revolvers. You should also note the interesting crane configuration due to the fact that the cylinder rod is pulled to the front to release the cylinder. Unlike that of many of today's revolvers, they use a rear cylinder catch and release mechanism. The cylinder rod has enough surface and texture for a good hold. Besides unlocking the cylinder rod also serves to extract spent cases or live cartridges from the cylinder, although it is a bit short in that department for adequately ridding the chambers of spent cases, requiring a bit of manual extraction of spent cases at times. The 9-round cylinder is highly fluted and rotates to the left. One point of interest in a revolver is the cylinder to forcing cone gap, often called the flash gap. The cylinder to forcing cone gap measured in at a closed 0.002 inch from the left side, and I could not even fit a 0.0025 inch feeler gauge into the right side. That is a very tight tolerance for a revolver of this nature. Essentially, what it means is that the cylinder face must be kept as free of burnt powder as possible to prevent the cylinder from dragging or hanging up during normal firing. Cylinder chambers are recessed, and the fit of the cylinder to frame is nice and tight, with a usual amount of side-to-side play and a very slight amount of fore and aft play. Cylinder lockup is tight as a drum, and by comparison, may be better than some modern-day revolvers. Turning to the hammer, it is high and nicely spurred for a good thumb hold for cocking, and believe me when I say that you would be cocking this revolver quite often. Also note that the non-replaceable firing pin is part of the hammer and not floating. That brings up the subject of dry firing. I highly recommend not to dry fire the M88 without something to buffer the strike of the firing pin against the rear of the cylinder. That means, of course, using snap caps to avoid peening of the cylinder. Moving the attention to the trigger is a highly curved affair with vertically serrated trigger face to keep the trigger finger in place. Although a compact revolver, there is adequate space between the face of the trigger and the trigger housing to accommodate a gloved trigger finger. You may note the contour of the trigger guard. It is nicely rounded at the front with a cutout at the rear, of which my middle finger contacts. I could perceive this as a problem area with a larger caliber revolver, as it would slam into the middle finger under recoil. But a .22 caliber revolver, I don't foresee an issue. Trigger pull weight. Well, I am glad that you asked. If you have been keeping up with your trigger finger exercising, the double action trigger pull weight may not pose a problem. If you are used to pulling that light polymer pistol trigger, the double action trigger pull weight of the M88 exceeds my trigger pull gauge. That has a 12-pound limit. However, single action trigger pull weight with a 5-pull average came in at 2 pounds 14.7 ounces. That's comparable to many DASA revolvers of today's standards. Trigger action is quite smooth in double action mode, albeit heavy. There is just a slight amount of take-up with absolutely no hint of trigger over travel. The light single action pull weight would make some 1911 operators envious, and, I believe, would make many single action revolver operators surprised that a double action single action trigger can feel this nice in single action mode. The round butt, single piece, single screw mounted grip feels great in the hand. The grip has enough length for my hand to completely surround it with all fingers on board. Note the J.C. Higgins logo with a model number on each upper side of the grip. On some models, this can be found on the rounded bottom of the grip. The double diamond texture on both sides of the grip ensures a solid gripping surface, while the indented front strap also serves to help prevent the revolver from twisting in the hand during live fire. The grip incorporates a nice palm swell flare at the bottom that feels, well, just swell in the hand. With this grip, one can get a very nice handhold on a revolver during live fire. Now, let me talk about maintenance for just a short bit. There is no need to get into maintaining the M88, but I will pass on to those who may have one of these revolvers but do not have the manual. I did manage to find a downloadable PDF copy from the universe. I provided a link to where you can download the manual in the description section below this video. Okay, let me take a short break to thank my sponsors for this video and then get to the range day with the M88. I do want to acknowledge my good friend who, I guess, did sponsor this review by providing the M88 to me. Thank you, my friend, and you know who you are. I'll maintain your privacy. Now, let's get to the range. Shooting a compact snub-nose revolver is a challenge, regardless of where you are shooting from and what you are shooting at. Due to the short barrel and sight radius and long, heavy double-action trigger, most snubbies are intended for up-close and personal work, and many snubbies are carried as backup firearms. While I cannot do anything about the short barrel and sight radius, I can do something about the trigger. Fire in single-action mode only. Not only is the revolver easier to shoot in single-action mode, it is also more accurate than pulling a long and heavy double-action trigger. In fact, my friend told me that he only shoots it in single-action mode. So, using that as a cue, let me see what I can do with the M88 at the usual combat distance of 21 feet, 7 yards, single-action only. For ammunition, I'm going to try out some Federal Solid 40 grain Target Grade Performance 22 long rifle, and maybe kick in with a few CCI 40 grain copper-plated round nose mini-mags, just for giggles and tee-hees. Well, let's just see how things progress. I have really enjoyed this journey with the J.C. Higgins Model 88 .22 caliber revolver, and I hope that you did as well. This revolver is an excellent example of a J.C. Higgins M88 that is in excellent condition, considering its age. Like me, it may be worn in, but definitely not worn out. As usual, it is with sad heart that I need to return the M88 to its rightful owner, and return you to whatever you are doing or need to be doing. I hope that you will follow the channel and be with me once again for more firearm and firearm-related reviews. Until that time, stay vigilant, stay armed, and stay safe wherever your journeys take you.